All right, week one, September 4th. It's the opening night of the Eagles football season. We're playing the Dallas Cowboys, coming in as the Super Bowl champions. It doesn't matter anymore. We've gone to camp, we've worked out, we got new guys here, new guys there. Bringing back the starting offense is that's important. So let's go ahead and start off with the Eagles offense. First thing I want to know is, how does the run game evolve? And how do they change it to where his teams can't tee off on it? And the one thing I'll say right now is that the Dallas Cowboys don't have much to stop the run game, in my humble opinion. They got Kenny Clark from the Packers in the trade for possibly one of the best defensive players in football, Micah Parsons. They sent him to the Packers for a couple of bags of peanuts and some late round picks it's going to be 28 to 30 that they're going to be picking. And for Kenny Clark, he's a left defensive tackle who can play ball. But he was on the Packers last year. And in 2 games against the Packers, the Eagles averaged about 120 some yards, 150 yards. So I got a lot of confidence against that, so I can see how it evolves. They got Sam Williams at the left defensive end, up and comer, not impressed by any of his tape. You got Odighizuwa, who is your right defensive tackle, who's also an okay player, but maybe next to Kenny Clark, he can make plays, because you may have to double Kenny Clark at some point during the game, and you may see some problems they might have up the middle. Let's move to their defensive ends. You have Dante Fowler Jr., who is a solid football player, one of their better defensive ends on that side of the ball. He's about 6'3", 261, and can move. He can play some ball. So you're going to move to your other middle linebacker, or your other linebacker. That's going to be Damian Clark, who's 240, and Jack Sanborn, who's 234, which leads me to this. The Eagles should have some success up the middle running the football. Those are 2 linebackers south of 250. That's not a good formula against the Eagles' offensive front, because you know what we like to do. The Eagles like to bully. They like to get downhill and carry some loads to the next level to create those big runs. So when we talk about the Eagles' offense, I want to see if Hurts takes a different step to be an elite passer, because he showed that in the playoffs that he can make some big-time throws. Will there be deep balls? I think Devontae Smith should look for at least 2 deep balls tonight. Jahan Dotson, I don't know. They could gadget something in to just do something with A.J. Brown earlier in the game. I could see that. Now, when you talk about their secondary and us matching up against them, we have Mr. Murray, who's number 24. He's an okay corner. They're dealing with some serious injury problems at their corner position. The Cowboys are. We still have some elite receivers. You know their names. 6, A.J. Brown, number 11. And then, of course, you have your actors of Jahan Dotson, Mechie. Maybe they get this Darius Cooper in the game and surprise the Cowboys out of nowhere with this amount of limited experience in their backfield, their defensive backfield, I should say. Now, the first corner that they're going to be matching up against All-Pro A.J. Brown is Kaiir Elam. He's 6'1", 191, and he's what you would call green. He's very new to the league. I got a lot of confidence in our pass game. The secondary has Donovan Wilson out at this safety position. He had 82 tackles last year, 44 solo. He's an okay player, and we'll test him. We'll see if he can guard the deep post from the inside slot or the Z receiver, and see if he can do that. Well, it's going to be an early look, whatever. Then the Cowboys are featuring Malik Hooker, who's been digging around the league for years. You can remember the name Malik Hooker. He's from the Colts. He had some good years there. He can play ball. He's 6'2", 212. He's on the downside of his career. So if there's plays to be had, I would go after these guys. Deron Bland is a solid nickel corner. probably their second best defensive player or their first best defensive player on defense, and he could be a problem. He may give Jahan Dotson or whoever's in the slot a little bit of problems, and he can also move outside and shadow A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, which would be a more favorable matchup for DaRon Bland. He's a little bigger, can run. Devontae Smith typically has some problems getting off the line of scrimmage with bigger guys, and then that just opens up things for everybody else. Now let's move to the Cowboys offense and Dakota Rain Prescott. Now look, everybody wants to talk about that this guy's played well against us. 9-4 against the Eagles, but let's remember that's before Vic Fangio became the defensive coordinator. So right now I want to see the Eagles get after him, create some pressure early, play solid, sound defense in the back end, and limit his ability to get the ball to his playmakers. CeeDee Lamb, you're talking about an all-pro receiver. He can give anybody a problem in the league, no matter if you're Jalen Ramsey or Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell's a top-level cornerback. He's our number one guy. Likely will cover CD throughout the game, but then you have George Pickens and other guys, such as the tight end Ferguson, that could give the Eagles some problems if they don't match up well. It's all about single high, safety, or you're going to roll coverage to one side to stop Pickens from getting deep, who has good deep speed and can beat you deep, and CeeDee Lamb has that. Now, if you're going to want to isolate a group of the Cowboys offense, that could be that. That's one group. And that's going to be the offensive line. Now, they've done some things with this offensive line. They try to rebuild it in certain ways, which is strong. They got a good group out there. They can play ball. But with the Eagles' strength being in the interior of the defensive line, a la Ojomo, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and the like, I think we could really get some pressure on Dak Prescott early in the game. You don't have to create turnovers, create incompletions, create sacks, create bad looks. That's all we need to do. The Eagles stay ahead of themselves. Don't beat themselves with penalties, personal fouls, offsides, which they typically are good against. They're a very disciplined team against some of these teams in these big moments. Hurts knows how to run the offense in big moments. They get down early, maybe. They know how to work themselves back in the game by playing focused, disciplined football. Hand the ball off to Saquon, let him do what he does early. Play disciplined defense. Make your kicks. Make your punts where they need to. Return your punts when you need to, because I think the Cowboys are going to punt a couple times early. Get some big returns, and look to capitalize on the moment. The Cowboys are in our stadium. The energy's going to be there. Eagles faithful is going to be there. Nuts. There's going to be crowd noise on every third down at the Cowboys' possession. So I want to see the Eagles capitalize on that and don't make bad mistakes. SIW's self-inflicted wounds. So in the end, I got the Cowboys losing this ball game to our Philadelphia Eagles, 32-17. Tight game, contested game, had some weather issues in the middle of the game. But let's talk about some of the things that we talked about in the pregame about Dak Prescott. Could we get him off rhythm? We didn't. Had a couple of opportunities to sack Dak. We had an opportunity to pick the ball off at the end of the game. We didn't get to that. Quinyon Mitchell's really got this almost sense he doesn't get these picks that he needs to get in these crucial moments. It happens to corners, but I'd like to see him get one of those picks at some point in the next couple of days, because he puts himself in such a great position to make these game-ending interceptions, game-changing interceptions, and he doesn't get it done. Let's see if he can turn around, but still tight coverage. He did what he did. George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb are a load. We talked about that before in the pregame. Javonte Williams had a good game. Miles Sanders, Eagles veteran, came into Philadelphia and played a good game. However, he did fumble the ball which did change things and turn the football game over. Quinyon Mitchell with a big pickup. Had one of the defensive linemen not been celebrating, he could have blocked Dak Prescott, and Quinyon Mitchell probably would have went about 90 yards for a return on the fumble recovery. The Cowboys' D line, for the most part, was ineffective. Hurts had his way, one sack, still got down the field for a 50-yard completion to Jahan Dotson, where they set that up the previous series. They set up that play that after that they were able to run a single high post over top. Devontae Smith ran the post underneath, and they were able to single up Dotson, and Hurts made a really good read on that. Hurts just, again, using his legs all night when he needed them, breakdowns, really looked good in the short yardage. I think when you're throwing it, we called it, one of our colleagues, Dennis D-Rock Trace, will give him some credit, gave me some props. He said he's like throwing at a stop sign. Middle of the field, you see Dallas Goedert streaking. You can always see that Hurts always has this ability to know where Dallas Goedert is during the play, and when he needs to break off the check down. It's like throwing to a stop sign. Middle of the field, really good passes. The secondary for the Eagles, let's go to the defense. Secondary of the Eagles had some issues. We already knew that we had a new number two corner outside of Quinyon Mitchell, who had a good night. I mean, he can't be everywhere. Cooper DeJean had a good night. As far as I'm concerned, at the end of the game, he had some really contested plays on CeeDee Lamb to cause the breakup. CeeDee Lamb dropped some of those balls, which might have impacted the game. Could have turned into a loss if he was able to make those plays. But he didn't make those plays. But in the end, the Eagles did what they needed to do on defense to stop the Cowboys after the rain delay and the second half. They scored no points. The Eagles only needed 3 points in the second half to basically seal that game up. And in the end, the defense did what it needed to do. Young defensive linemen played good. Nobody got hurt. Jordan Davis played an effective game on that side of the football. He actually played the most football he has as an Eagle, because Jalen Carter obviously spit on another human being and got thrown out of the game. But we won't talk about that because we don't even know if he's going to be suspended or what happens. But in the end, the Eagles took him down, won the football game, walking out 1-0. We go to Kansas City, a Week 2 game in their place. They're going to look to avenge us. They just lost to the Bolts. Week 1 in the land of Brazil. Who knows what happens out there? I think we're up for the task. I think we can get A.J. Brown a little more involved in the football game early. San Diego looked like they could move the football on the Kansas City Chiefs. On the ground, through the air, and Justin Herbert does one thing that our quarterback does with regularity on teams. Use the wheels. Break out the brakes. We'll break down that game next week.